Ready? Start. Sir, the disturbing feature and the distressing trend is the ownership of media houses is increasingly passing into the hands of corporate houses. It adversely impacts the objectivity and neutrality of news and views. In fact, the journalists, whether they are working journalists or non-journalists or employees, are treated as workers and their condition is very miserable. I can say the mouse which they hold in their hands, the pen which they hold in their hands can be mightier, but these journalists lead a miserable life. For instance, when my good friend Mr. Fernandez was the minister, I did go to him with a demand for constitution of a wage board. A wage board was constituted headed by a retired judge. The wage board gave its recommendations. The government of India notified the recommendations in November 2011. The Supreme Court issued orders in the month of February 2014 asking that these recommendations must be implemented by the printed and electronic media managements. There are a few managements which implemented these recommendations, but they have done it very partially. Many managements do not implement these recommendations. The present government should take note of these recommendations. I think my good friend Mr. Javadekar will address this serious question. Journalists have to fight for their livelihood, for their job security and fight for their rights. Non-journalist employees do fight for their rights. For instance, we have two major new agencies. One is the PTI and the other is the UNI. The UNI is in a very deep economic crisis. Journalists and employees do not get their salaries for months together. How are you going to address this issue? As a government, you need to come forward to help such an agency and to protect the interests of journalists and non-journalist employees. Now we are discussing this issue in the next of what has happened or what is happening in Telangana and Andhra states. I do not want to add much after hearing our good friend Dr. Reddy, but issues will have to be sorted out. There are various ways to sort out these issues, whether it is the assembly or parliament. There is a way to tackle it. The House can take its own course of action. There is a legal course also. Despite all these things, we should not try to suppress the media or going in for censorship of the press or the TV. There, I think the Press Council of India has a role. The Press Council of India does not have teeth to bite and bring discipline. The Press Council of India should have statutes, should have certain legal powers to act, whether you call it Media Council or you strengthen the existing Press Council, it is for the government. But we will have to uphold the freedom of the press. We will have to uphold the independence of the media, and they are the strength of the Indian democracy. Sir, I have been listening very patiently to what everyone has said. Of course, there is a lot of valuable suggestions and common sense there. I want to specifically address certain issues concerning the state of Telangana. Telangana is a new state that has come into being. Here is a golden opportunity whereby we can evolve as a very responsible government media which would collectively be able to serve the purpose and what Telangana tries to achieve. Unfortunately, there has been a very acrimonious start to what has happened there. Media is not just a media. It is the fourth pillar of our democracy. We expect from the media a kind of accountability and responsibility. There will be aberrations. There will be misreporting. There will be enhanced and enraged sentiments that come about as we have witnessed across the country, and my respected colleagues have articulated here. But does that mean that there are no courses on which we can do course corrections? Is it that we are so helpless that we can't set things right? Are we saying that by that violation of the concerned media, we are in a righteous position whereby we will compound the injury by acting extra constitutionally? There are checks and balances which are inherent in our great democracy, whereby we correct ourselves and nudge each other in that direction of rightness. When that dissolves, there will be civil unrest. Today, this parliament is going to be discussing amendments to juvenile justice laws. There is social media that comes about into that. We are able to chorus young, impressionable minds to go and meet unknowns and strangers. Sir, no multi-system operator can just arbitrarily take off air channels as has been done in Telangana. If the channels have been abusive or offensive, it is not acceptable to anyone. Anyone with any sense of rightness or decency will not contribute to that. But there are corrective measures. There are methods by which we can set them on to the right path. Stop.